What's the most messed up thing you saw at school? Once saw two kids chase down and catch a rabbit that was chilling on the school grounds. Then proceed to bash its head in with a shovel. Was absolutely fucked up. I was sitting at a bus stop waiting for a ride back home from campus and these two girls are sitting there next to a blind girl. The two girls are carrying on a conversation when a city bus pulls up. The blind girl, knowing that there are two people sitting next to her, turns towards the girls and asks which bus just pulled up. The two girls stop talking and look over to the blind girl and just stare at her before returning to their conversation without so much as a response to the question. In 7th grade these two boys were about to get at a fight and started shoving each other and one of them fell down and his arm just snapped. We all stopped in the hallway and stared at him and the boy who broke his arm said, "What's everyone staring at?" And he looked down and saw his arm and calmly said, "Oh. My arm is broken." Some kid went postal in woodwork, shoved another kid's hand, and held it, into the belt sander. Poor fucker needed skin grafts. Girl obviously giving a blowjob in art class to her crazy, over-controlling, druggo boyfriend. Happened multiple times. The class was small because it was an elective subject, around 10 people. Teacher never did anything to my knowledge. It was by far the most awkward times in my schooling. Me and friends never called them out on it because they were the sort of people to be like, "What of it?" and then stab you. Like 10 guys used to beat off in the back of the computer labs and blow their loads on the keyboards and screens so people would have to touch their cum. That's when our school installed restrictions on Google Images. Where the heck did you guys go to school? Am I the only one who feels like they went to a really boring school? Happened to a friend of mine at a party. Go downstairs to see a girl sitting on a couch in nothing but a green thong, being fingered by 3 different dudes at the same time. There is someone sitting nearby with a microphone, narrating everything that's happening, and a guy at a drum set next to him playing that bad-umps thing every time he cracks a joke. The curriculum. Freshman year of high school, a girl smuggled a razor blade into school and proceeded to slash another girl's throat with it in the middle of break. Second of 2 times someone needed to be helicoptered out of the school. I haven't seen anything like stabbings, but I remember one day in college I looked out the window and no less than 200 people were actively engaged in a LARP in the field outside. Completely decked out in armor and flying flags or different houses or whatever. A guy in my grade lost a bet and drank a cup of his own urine in the middle of the hallway for all to see. The infamous lock in a sock incident. In high school during a lunch period 2 girls got in a fight, I'm guessing about some guy. Anyway, one girl pulls a knife out of her bra so the other girl puts one of the school locks inside a sock and starts beating the other girl with it. Never seen so many police officers run in the cafeteria ever. My biology teacher thought it'd be fun to jump rope with fetal pig small intestine. Then some other kids thought it would be fun too and had a jump rope competition. Yeah, every day in gym class this one douchebag kid will tell the one learning disabled kid that the other learning disabled kid had been talking shit about him and vice versa just so that they would fight in the locker room every day. I thought it was hilarious at the time, but now I realize just how fucked up it is. I saw a kid take a stapler and begin stapling himself in the middle of science class. He got about 20 staples in his arms and head before asking to go clean up in the bathroom. The science teacher flipped out and sent him to the nurse. No one knows why he did it. This was during freshman year. He was just as weird senior year. His senior quote was, "Gingers to have souls. One for every soul we take." I've never seen a photo that captured the glint of crazy in one's eye quite so well. Kid smearing poop all over the bathroom walls whilst screaming and in tears. Saw a kid come into class with a mouthful of chewing tobacco. I sat diagonally behind him. He sits down, looks around to make sure the teacher's not looking, and spits the tobacco right under his desk and onto the floor. In no particular order. Was going to go for a piss, 2 lads in the toilets already using the trough urinal. One turns to the other and just casually starts pissing into his pocket. Kid was talking about feeling sick and the teacher wouldn't let him leave. He then sneezes sick, spraying several people in the area around him with it. Finally a kid fell asleep in class on his desk and pissed himself whilst asleep. 2 white-black girls fighting and one razored the hell out of the other's face. She came back to school after 6 months and looked like a horror show. Halloween a few years ago at my school. A student dressed up in a full gorilla costume ran into the packed foyer during a break and set off some fireworks. Someone slashing their wrist with a pair of scissors. A guy punched through a window, including the metal screen, and opened an artery in his upper arm. So much blood. Pools of blood in the hallway, blood dripping downstairs, sink in nearest restroom full of blood from when he tried to use paper towels to stop the bleeding. He made it through okay, but it looked as if someone died. 2 dudes arguing in the quad. One sitting down while his girlfriend sits on his lap. Gets really heated and standing guy takes a swing and completely misses and just decks the girlfriend and sends her to the ground in a heap. The stories about how it started are incredibly varied, but somehow this bigger kid with anger management issues started beating up this younger, Smaller kid at lunch high school. And I don't mean beating up lightly, I mean this kid's face was getting smashed into a hard plastic lunch tray repeatedly. There was blood everywhere. The bigger kid was walked by me once it was broken up, he had blood all over his shirt. The smaller kid had to have facial reconstruction surgery. This kid was doing burnouts in a parking lot in some piece of shit 80s Camaro. All of a sudden he lost control, somehow went sideways, mowed down like 3 kids hard. Blood, broken bones, etc. etc. I saw a huge group of people gathering around at lunch. I later found out that a girl was having a seizure and someone was throwing trash at her. 2 girls at my university got into an altercation over a basketball player. It ended when one took out a box cutter and defaced the other. 2 girls, 1 box cutter, just as gruesome. A kid in my school hung himself, and I talked his friend out of killing himself. There was this kid in my US history class that would jerk off every day. He would also dead stare at kids until they looked at him while doing it. It took almost 2 quarters for the teacher to notice what he was doing. Our school received a bomb threat and we had to wait in class for a few hours until the police finished searching the building. I also got tackled by the gym teacher who was chasing a kid full speed down the hall. I saw a black dude and a white dude fighting because of their respective skin colors. One dude pulled out a chain that had been attached to his wallet. He then tries to hit the other dude in the face. Other dude grabs the chain and uses it on its former owner. Former owner has a line of gashes running down his face, with about an inch in between him. This was one of many fucked up things I saw in school. Also, fuck racism. Looking back at things, I'm pretty sure one of the girls in my grade 8 class was pimping out a vast majority of the other girls to a pedophile ring. Back in high school during art class, random special ed student runs in and takes a dump. Pulls up pants and starts yelling in the hallway. There was this weird guy at my high school who went out of his way to make every day as surreal as possible. I recall one day when he dumped a bucket of dandelions over the head of some poor freshman, screamed "Robots can't love it," and took off running down the hallway. Saw a kid fat decked in the face with a backpack tearing his cheek so you could see the teeth. A group of kids destroyed the 3rd floor bathroom. They shit on the floor and threw it on the walls. They jizzed on the windowsills, they peed all over the sinks. The bathroom was closed for over a week. One of my friends stuck his bare penis in a yogurt cup during a dare. In gym class, a guy spread his ass cheeks and showed it to chat roulette. A guy took a shit in a urinal. Didn't see this personally, but knew the guy who did it and he was proud of it. I saw a science teacher walking around naked. It was a guy, and I was a guy, and I am straight, so it was disturbing for me, especially since it was when I was in the 6th grade, with his balls hanging out rubbing it on students, mostly other boys, thank God not me though. He yelled out saying I'm doing this, for science. I don't know if he was on crack or something, but I ran for class faster when you close down porn when your parents walk in. My friend opened his pants to bottom naked when celebrating a goal. Cannot unsee his dick. 2 of my idiot classmates came in with a Winnie the Pooh and Elmo costume on after lunch monitoring the kindergarten class, and then the one in the Elmo costume pukes and then the other one yells "I did it" and drags the guy in the Elmo costume out of our classroom. A couple of guys were dissecting sheep hearts in their biology lesson and thought it would be funny to throw the hearts out the window of their classroom afterwards. They got lodged in the chain-link fence of the playground and were stuck there for ages. In biology, we had the dead frogs to cut up. This girl, one of the most popular and ill-do-what-I-want girls, just said screw it and sliced into this frog against protocol. Long story short, she slit its compacted intestines and got a mouthful of what the frog dipped in formaldehyde before it died. First day of grade 1, girl pees her pants while we're listening to a story at the end of the day. As we all go back to our desks, the teacher notices the wet spot on the carpet and asks who did it. Nobody responds. After keeping us after the bell for 5 minutes, she decides to check all of our butts to see who is wet. The girl who peed her pants was in the row in front of me, so I didn't have to go up to the front. Freshman year of high school in a very ethnically diverse area. 2 middle school kids slashed the tires on a high schooler's car, obviously someone they knew. Turns out it was all gang related. The high schooler rounds up his buddies and go over to the middle school. Also, my younger brother was at that school. So the older guys had guns and knives, probably were going to fuck the kids up. Police and SWAT called in before any real fighting. I didn't directly see this, but it was still pretty fucked up. In 5th grade, this dumbass kid brought in a water gun that I guess he painted or something, so it looked real. All of a fucking sudden, he puts this gun to some kid's temple and says I'm gonna blow your brains out. I'm surprised he wasn't expelled or something, cause that is complete bullshit. He only got suspended. Also, a kid stuck his finger in a pencil sharpener, one of the cheap plastic kinds, and there was blood everywhere. 1. Prostitution ring. Freshman girls selling themselves for iPods with the help of a pimp who was a senior. 2. Ecstasy deal in my AP English Class 3. Girl fight where one girl had her head smashed into a pillar. 4. Senior prank where kids put bleach in water guns and shot it at people. Till I was really sheltered in school. Kid doing cocaine in class. My principal, who was also a teacher, went crazy one day and started beating up kids. This would be 10-11-year-old kids. Added later, he threatened me for going to the police. I didn't. I went to an alternative high school, so one day a former student of my history teacher came to visit my teacher in 7th period, which was my period. The former student then proceeds to punch the teacher square in the face while screaming, "You know what you did to me?" Everyone was just in shock and nobody helped the teacher. Turns out the guy was high on meth and I think my history teacher molested him. Now the teacher isn't teaching anymore and nobody knows what happened to him. A fight took place outside of my school last year, involving two of the biggest bitches in my year group. Was hilarious, but fucked up that the local newspaper decided to report on it. Here is a hilarious picture of my mate trying to get out of the way. When I was taking the SAT, a girl in my group pooped herself because she thought her test would be voided if she got up to go to the bathroom. She finished the rest of the SAT with a big load in her pants. When I was in grade 9, I had PE class right after lunch. The gymnasium had foldable bleachers, which were located right outside of the locker room. Once you changed, you'd usually go sit on top of the bleachers. One time, this kid came out of the locker room and was just drilled in the face with an orange from about 40 feet away. It exploded. It was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. The kid who was pelted did not laugh. I walked in on a kid in the boys' bathroom who had shit in the sink and was smearing the shit all over the mirror with his bare fucking hands. I didn't rat him out, though, and the entire school was talking about the shit bandit for weeks. Only he and I knew, trading knowing glances in the hallways and in calculus. We even dated for a while, until he shit on my chest during sex one night. Didn't see that one coming. Back in middle school, two kids got fighting for God knows what. The assistant principal, an ex-football player, grabbed one guy, and the dean of students, an ex-kickboxer, grabs the other kid and slammed him against the vending machine. He promptly took him in a headlock all the way to the office. A kid was stabbed at my middle school by his best friend. In the bathroom. With scissors. Made national news. Pretty effed up for the sweet suburbs of Miami. This is more of a messed up thing, someone says. So I'm in government class and we are having a surprisingly mature and civil discussion about abortion and whether or not the father-husband should have a say in the matter, but when we get to the subject of what if the woman was raped by her husband, some little asshat blurts out it's not rape if the husband does it, it's just sex. It really blows my mind that someone could still have that mindset. My high school had a tradition where, on one of the last days of school, the graduating seniors would skip the afternoon, walk over to a nearby park, and box. We had gloves and mouth guards, so nobody ever got seriously hurt, but you'd get the occasional bloody nose. Other than that, every school I've ever been to has been pretty clean and mostly without gangs or violence. I grew up in Canada. In junior high we had to sit through these excruciatingly long band concerts. During one of these concerts a girl loses her lunch, but do you think the concert ended? Nope, it went on for 45 more minutes. I can still smell it. When I was in the 2nd grade, I sat next to this kid who shit his pants and didn't tell anyone till the lesson was over. When he got up, it was like he was pissing shit. Some black guy beating a brunette to a bloody pulp since she wouldn't have sex with him because she was in a relationship with someone else and wasn't that way. A kid masturbated in one of my classes in middle school. And another kid did it when I was in high school. What makes a person want to beat it in class? This one kid started freaking out at the security guard, and it got to the point of him holding a chair above his head about to throw it at he poor guy. Why? Security guard took his phone. In middle school this white trash girl dropped the N-bomb on this black kid, Bruce, and he got furious. The teacher tried to calm him down and walked Bruce to the door of the classroom. As soon as they got to the door, Bruce pushed the teacher out of the room, locked the door and beat the shit out of the trailer park girl. I mean, the first punch sent her sailing. Some kid lit his binder on fire. There was a guy in my class who once chased the rest of us around the changing rooms with a makeshift deodorant lighter flamethrower. During my freshman year, during homeroom, this random Persian kid comes up to me and started talking to me. We got on the topic of pets and I said how I have a cat and that I loved her very much. Immediately after I say that, he unzips his pants, puts his hand in them and begins to jack off and then sing a song that went about me bringing the cat to a club and screwing it. By far one of the most effed up things ever. I once saw a guy who was high put his upper body through a window on a door. That was a bloody mess. Some girl pierced her lip in geography class with a safety pin. It was awesome. I saw 2 or 3 pencil stabbings. I once saw a teacher put a child in a sleeper hold to subdue her. When I was in 8th grade, I saw one girl smash another girl's face into a metal pole. Smashed the girl's nose and knocked out some teeth. There was blood everywhere. Absolutely awful. The 200-pound women who wear leggings. Somebody was rubbing the walls in a random room with shit. No idea if it was his, human, dog or what. He also rubbed the handrail on one of the staircases from top to bottom with shit as well as the walls around it. Had about 3 or 4 instances, then it suddenly stopped. I went to a posh private school in London, so it would have been hushed up and the offender silently removed from the school, assuming they found out who it was. The douchebags at my high school would get the mentally retarded kids to steal milks from the cafeteria for them. Jeez. My stories seem boring. Middle school, someone would pull the fire alarm almost every other day, so we stopped having scheduled fire drills. Apparently a lot of people saw a security guard pull it once. The worst time for the fire alarm to go off was right before the final bell. We lost no class time, and when this happened, the students who hadn't packed up were forced to leave school without their bags. Oh, and the fire department was fairly pissed off with us. You know that trick where you hold down the button on a mechanical pencil and pretend to stab yourself with it? I showed that to some people in my 7th grade class, and one foreign girl just moved from China or something proceeded to actually stab herself with her mechanical pencil. I felt really bad and explained that it was just a trick after getting paper towels, of course. This same girl somehow took a stapler and stapled her finger with it. I didn't do any tricks this time. I blew a metric ton of snot over one of the school's iPads. I am now famous. No regrets. Also, one time a kid ran through our cafeteria and yelled "I'm free" as he ran outside, followed by a police officer. Pretty funny. Seen a freshman girl giving gear number to one. The janitors looked about 40 to see her the next day. A new kid punching a mentally challenged kid in the face, breaking his glasses. He didn't know he was special needs. I saw a small kid 5 feet 5 inches get stomped to shit by 3 gang members. One kid was over 6 feet 3 inches and easily over 250 pounds. The other 2 were stocky guys who hovered over 200 pounds. One of the punks grabbed a little guy by his long hair and dragged him to the ground while the other 2 kicked the living shit out of him. The little guy was a tough fucker though and took the beating pretty well. I'm sure it wasn't the first time this happened to him. Not so much at school, but once while I was walking to school I witnessed a motor attack on a police station. A junior proposed to his girlfriend of 3 months in the lunch yard on the last day of school, in front of the whole damn school, administrators and all. She said yes. He did not have permission of her father. He proposed with $20 earrings. WTF? I was in junior school. I'm not sure what the US equivalent is, and during a playground break I saw a guy run up to another man and stab him with a replica samurai sword right outside of school. I later found out that the guy with the sword also attacked someone in a church afterwards. My autistic brother attended my school about a year after I started. This is high school. He had a meltdown one day because a good friend of his transferred, so he acted out by spitting and clawing. The vice principal came in and tried to yell at him like any fucking hoodlum student, so my brother spat and growled at him. Idiot yelled "fucking retard" after being scratched, and he brought a lawsuit against him after expelling him. Needless to say, I made sure that fucker paid. I once saw a girl chase a guy into the men's bathroom to give him her number. Also, not as much messed up as funny, but someone stuck a blow-up doll to the roof of our school, for all passing motorists to see. Well, in 5th grade I saw a girl lock her knees, pass out, and land on her face during an assembly. I also saw a girl fall off the monkey bars and have to get taken to the hospital. In 7th grade during a hellish 3-hour stay in the boys' locker room as a tornado roamed the area, and again in 8th during class I saw an annoying popular boy's genitalia. Public school. When my teacher was in high school, one of her classmates walked into the room, pulled out a gun, and shot himself in the head.